What is going on, everybody? How are you guys doing? Nathan back with another video for you. Today we are going to be doing some pre-screening on the microscope. Show you the microscope we're using here. We have the Elicliv EDM 401. EDM 402 is the max. That is the microscope we're using, HDMI. And we already pre-screened these cards. We think they're pretty decent, but now we want to go through and confirm what we thought just from the naked eye checks. We are going to find some cards that aren't going to make the cut, and that's okay. Save us a little bit of money on our grading fees. But let's take a look real quick here. We got a nice, beautiful Charizard GX. Show you guys that card. Beautiful looking card. Now let's see. Can we find anything here that would make sense on why not to submit this card for grading? Don't want to hear the thoughts on, oh, I wouldn't send that in, the card's not worth it, whatever. Some of these cards are going to be for PC, some of them are going to be for reselling, and some of them are just kind of trial and error, see what they're looking for, see what they're identifying. Now we do have a little bit of off center on this card. It's tiny, little thinner over here than it is on the right hand side than it is on the left hand side. My guess is this card's probably going to get a 9. We're a little thicker on the top than we are on the bottom. On the back, they don't look at the back as much for the centering, but they still do. A little tiny bit of whitening right on the edge, though. Right on the edge. Other than that, not a whole lot. A little tiny bit right on the bottom. None of that's really coming off there. I think we're going to send that one still. My guess is probably a 9 on that. I didn't think anything was too egregious to warrant anything lower. You tell me in the comments below, what do you think? Here we have a Tyranitar EX Shiny. Beautiful looking card. Show you guys that. Great looking card. Let's take a look. Do we identify any issues within this card that we think? Well, there might be a little bit of rollover right there on the card. You can kind of see that right at the top of the light. This is one of those ones that if it grades a 10, we'll probably sell it. If it grades a 9, it'll go on the PC. So there are some of those that, depending on the grade, it may be sold. And I don't grade really any of my domino stuff. That goes to my top loader binders. But the Pokemon stuff, I like to have some of those looking nice and pretty in slabs. It's not that I like the PSA slabs. I don't really care for the label that much. But if I ever wanted to sell the Pokemon stuff, it makes it easier. Whereas the Domino collection, that's just not going anywhere. That's my primary PC. Everything else is secondary to that, including my set building. So all the sets, all the Pokemon stuff. Now there is a little, you can see that right there. So there's a little tiny dimple right there. My guess is probably an 8 or a 9 on that one. Could I get my money back out of that if I graded it if it got a 9? Yeah, I think so. At an 8, probably not, but that's okay. Again, if it's one of those ones that if it gets an 8, it can stay in the PC. If it gets a 9, we'll see if we sell it or not. Here we have a beautiful gold Charizard EX. Look at that. That's a pretty looking card. Love the patterning. The textured card is always really nice. Again, it helps with the surface defects on the front, which is what they're going to look at more so than the stuff on the back. So even if you have some small surface scratches on the back, you're going to be better off than if you have some small surface scratches on the front. So here you can see the lights kind of going back and forth on the card. That's all I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to move the light back and forth across the card to see if I identify any surface issues. White right there. Just kind of shift the light. You got a little bit of a print line right there. That one's not too terribly bad. Charizards, even in a 9, you're probably going to be able to sell them. Well, this is a little tricky. It's hard to tell what this is. If it's a defect in the paint, if it's a small little line in the card. You see this right here? There's like a little, almost like it's multiple pieces of paper stuck together. That's an interesting one right there. I haven't seen that on the Pokemon cards before. It's not really a scratch. It's just almost looks like there's like a ripple right in the paint or in the paper. Okay, this might. I know it's a gold. That one might risk it. That's gonna go in our maybe pile. That one, I don't know. I'd love to see that one just slip through the cracks and get a better grade, but we'll see. All right, next we got Mewtwo V-Star. Mewtwo V-Star, another great looking card. I can't get this camera far enough away to show you guys the entire card, but great looking card. Let's take a look, see if there's any defects on this one. Guys, feel free to play us on 2x2. I know you don't necessarily want to sit here and watch me go through all of these cards, but we got about 50 of them or so we're going to go through just to kind of pick and choose what we want to send. Very, very tiny. So you can see there's a bunch of them right there going across that part of the card, but they're so small. Like, when you set the card like this, you don't even notice them. Like, you don't even notice them. It's when you get it, you start tipping it on all these different angles to get the light. See, like, even that direction, like, you can't even see them really. But if you turn it this way and you put the light like this, now you start to pick them up a little bit. You see what I'm saying? So it's little defects like that is like, some graders are going to ding you on it, others aren't even going to care because they might not even turn the card that direction. That one is going to get graded. Okay, what do we have next? And let me know, like, if you guys pre-grade cards, how are you doing it? What are you looking for? What primary things are you considering? Obviously, corners, centering, edges, and surface. Those are the 4 criteria that they pretty much use. But we all know that everything in between, the size of the defects, that plays into account, like what kind of grade you're going to get, and who the grader is really does matter. So some of you that grade quite often, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this process. If you want to jump on an interview, talk about it, I'd love to do that too. It'd be great to hear you guys' thoughts. Show some examples of what you look for. That Mew is going to go get graded. That looks like it's pretty decent. I think that one's got a good shot at a 10. All right, we got a Team Skullgrunt trainer card coming up next. All right, kind of give you a glance of the card here. There you go. We got some dusting going on right down there. All right, turn sideways. That's the easiest for us to kind of get the light to hit the whole card without taking the chance of running into the backstop on the plate. So I think the front of the card there looks pretty good. It's like you see this line running right through here. You see it runs almost all the way through. Like, it stops kind of like right at her mask area. So it makes me wonder if that's a surface issue or if it's kind of like just the line within like the different spots in the pattern, like where the pattern starts to repeat itself. But we do got a couple, we got some surface scratches going on, like right over here, right over here. Probably a 9 on this one. With those small surface scratches, hard to keep those off these Pokemon cards just because of the way they're packed in there. I think that's going to go in the maybe pile. We'll see. We'll see if we send that one. That's like the first one where I'm like, kind of don't want to send it, but then I kind of want to risk it too. So maybe we see if we get a big pile of ones that we're not going to send. We got Bea, how you say it? You tell me. Type it out, all you waifu lovers. Type it out in the chat, in the comments. How do you say your name? Bea. Bea. Not too bad. Looks pretty decent. Not a lot. I'm not seeing really any surface scratches when I'm shining the light the different directions. We have a little tiny dimple, right? A little tiny edge right there. That might squeak through though. Depends who's looking at it. Okay, we do get a little surface scratch right there. Okay, kind of right there where the P is. There's a little surface scratch right there. Even in a 9, that one will make its money back. Being a rainbow, those are highly sought after, especially in the trainer cards. We have a gold Articuno next. Galarian Articuno V. There's the card. Take a look here, see what we can find. Most of the fronts of these Pokemon cards, we're not going to find too much of anything. Little flyer there. There we go. Flyer's gone. Flake that came right off. Alright, so we got going down back here. Anything that we can notice? Not really seeing. I'm not seeing any white spots. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Real quick, maybe we had print line or something there. Yeah, right there. A little, very, very fine. You see how it's like you just get the light just one right little direction. You won't be able to pick it up any other way you turn that card. No matter how the light hits it, but it hits it that one little direction, and then now it stands out. All right, next we have Tag Team, Reshiram and Charizard. Pretty well centered on this one. Maybe a little tiny bit skinny on the left, like very, very minute on the left compared to the right. I love how Pokemon does this with the transition from the glossy to the matte. They do such a good job of it. I love the variety of ways that you can buy the cards too, from single packs to booster boxes, ETBs, the larger boxes, what are those ones called? I guess they're called booster boxes too, but they're the bigger bundles. You get cases, you got all kinds of, just so many different ways in between that you can buy Pokemon products. Versus like Marvel, you're stuck with blaster boxes and hobby boxes, and that's really about your only way until you get to E-Pack, where you can then buy packs, or you find a hobby shop that has some packs. Charizard V-Star coming up next. Another great looking card, and you can't go wrong with Charizard either. Can't go wrong with Charizard. Even in a 9, a lot of times they're worth sending in. Make a few more dollars on it than what you would have if you sold it raw. Little white dot, one white dot right there. These are dust flakes there. Want to make sure we get those off. Right down here, maybe a little spot right there on that corner. Overall, that one's not too bad. That one's not too bad at all. Pretty decent. How we doing here? Hope everybody's doing great. Hope you're enjoying this video. It's going to be a little bit longer one. Again, play us on 2X if you need to. Give us a thumbs up if you like the content that we're putting out. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. All that stuff. Okay, this is the oldest Pokemon card we have. 2016 Mewtwo base card. Let's send this one in. I like it. Picked it up at the show. We're going to see how this one does. Let's take a look here. Pretty well centered. Base card doesn't really have any of the reflection, so you don't get a lot of the identifying features where the surface scratches don't show up as prominent because of the shininess of the cards. This actually looks pretty decent. You can see how, like, with the light though, it's changing the color of the yellow. This one looks pretty decent. The surface on the front looks good. Centering looks good. On the back, we got maybe a little bit of white right there. Might just be the reflection. Let's see, yeah, a little tiny bit of white right there. For 2016, that's expected. A few small surface scratches right in there. Not too shabby. Pretty decent. Alright. Let's skip ahead through the Pokemon and see if we can get you guys a variety of cards here. Oh, here we go. We're almost done with the... You know what? This is the last Pokemon card. So let's just do this one and then we'll move on to some Marvel. Charizard EX. Beautiful looking Charizard. Look at that. Charmander is my favorite starter. I love Charizard cards. However, Charizard's not really PC for me. I mean, he kind of is, like, in the raw form, so if the card wasn't grade worthy, I'd probably just keep it versus selling it. But if I can grade it, get a good grade, I can move the card and then still get the raw card back and have some additional money in my pocket, why not? Helps pay for my Marvel hobby. Use the hobby to fund the hobby. You know, if there's other people out there that want to buy grades and that's kind of what they're going for, then if you can get that grade, why not? Okay, that's it for Pokemon. I think we only took one card out of there. We probably could have taken 2 or 3 out, but we'll risk those and see. Now these ones are a little tricky. 1994 Flare. These things always end up with some sort of coding issues, major scratches on the card. We have Hulk here, but we usually end up with all kinds of major issues on the surface of this just because of the glossiness of the card. It ends up with so many dimples, surface scratches, and just weird defects that other cards aren't going to get. Because it's almost like it seriously is like it's a gloss coating, like a clear coat, but it's thicker on this card for some reason. I don't know why. So like right here where his ear's at, you can kind of see it's almost like a faint line in the coating. You see that? It's not a scratch. It's just almost like there's like a drop in the coating. See, maybe a little tiny dimple right there by the edge of the gun, but these always have like a film on them, and so we got a nice surface scratches going right through there. See those surface scratches? That's enough. This one's probably not gonna go. The front was pretty good, but all those surface scratches on the back, we're gonna pass on that one. Because these 94 Flare cards are so hard to grade, if you get a nice one, a really nice one, it's worth sending in. Just because they are really, really hard to grade. Here we have the Extinction Agenda with Archangel, Cyclops, and Wolverine. Just kind of go back and forth here on the card. I'll show you the card. Beautiful looking card. Does very well on a 10. I mean, you're not making millions of dollars on these in a 10. It's a 1990s card. But again, they are really hard to grade, so there are tons of Wolverine collectors out there that if you can get a 10, somebody's looking for one. The front of this one looks pretty decent too. The front of that one looks pretty decent. Let's see. No whammies, no whammies, no whammies. No massive print lines, please and thank you. Small, tiny ones right there behind, underneath the A. Those are okay. You can see how, like with the Pokemon cards, the ring light from the microscope itself, the zoom aspect, wasn't showing up. And we were using more of these side lights, were more of what we were using on the Pokemon cards. Now we're using more of that ring light because we're able to get that to show us all the little dimples and stuff like that. This one actually looks really good. A couple minor surface scratches right underneath this last A. and agenda. But other than that, I think that one's got a really good shot. So sleeve it back up, put it back in our Beckett shield. So we use the Beckett shields for a lot of them. Either that or the Ultra Pro Card Saver ones. Those are really good too. The Ultra Pro Card Saver ones, those are good for these cards. Gives your card plenty of breathing room without squishing it. All right, here we have the blue and gold team. So we got Storm, Cyclops, Bishop, and Wolverine. On this card, another great 94 Flare. Now these do have kind of the same thing that the Pokemon has, where the tops and the edges of the cards kind of curl up a little bit, and that's because of that. And that's because of that coating and the way it sets up on the card before they cut them. It's funny because like Flare was like, I guess it was like technically like Flare Annual, so now you have Marvel Annual. But back in the day, even when Masterpieces was out, these were considered like premium cards because of the fact that these came in a box that had a bunch of little boxes inside of it, and then you had the cards inside the boxes. So even after you open the box, you basically had to open a whole bunch more boxes just to get to the cards themselves. So these were kind of like a premium, high-end style card. Now we have lots of surface scratches on the back of this one that you see under the magnification. So where the E is there in X-Men, see if we can get these. There we go. You can see those now. See those all showing up? So look at all those. Yep. Oh, that's a shame. That's a nice looking card, but unfortunately, all those surface scratches on the back, probably not going to send that one in. That's okay. Save ourselves an extra 15 bucks. Mr. Bone Claws himself, 1994 Flare. Bone Claws Wolverine. Let's take a look here. We got a little dusting there on the cowboy hat. Get that off there. Because of the coating too, especially on the on this set, more pronounced on the Power Blasts, where you would have to microfiber the cards for a really long time if you're just fresh opening the cards, because they just had this weird film on the gloss. Alright, Wolverine leaves the X-Men, and this one here, we got something going on right here with the words. Almost like, I don't know if that's defect or if it's just like a misprint there. Because the R, the I, and the E are all right there. It looks almost like it's just like a misprint. Like something might have been on the print stamp when it printed. I wonder if they'll count that against the grade of the card. Because that's in the print ink itself, not in, it's not a defect on the card. You can see there's no dimples or anything there. Interesting. I think we might risk on this one. We have another Bone Claw one after this, so I'm going to set this in the maybe pile. If the other Bone Claw one has it too, then I feel more comfortable sending this card. Let's take a look here at this other Bone Claw. We'll just look at the front real quick. Boom, boom, boom. You can see that lighted edge right there where that coating is kind of raised up. They don't really take that into account. It doesn't affect the card, the grade on the card really, unless it's just ridiculously stupid. But overall, this is another one that's looking really good condition wise. The corners are nice and sharp. Let's take a look at the back and see. Yeah, they'll probably count that against it because you can see here Wolverine on this one is clear. So, but the downside is all these surface scratches. So we're trading one defect for another defect, and that one's actually got some scuffs on it. I don't know how that one got through the pre. So we're not going to send that one in. I think I'm going to leave the other Bone Claw in the maybe pile. If we see any more flares that have that, then I might send it. But for right now, it's going to stay in the maybe pile. Alright, next we have Deadly Enemies, Wolverine and Sabretooth. Another great looking card. Check that out. Alright, let's take a look. How does the Deadly Enemies stack up here? So a lot of what we're seeing on the 94 Flare is those surface scratches on the back. Because we're not doing Power Blast, we don't really have that coating to worry so much about on the cards. Is that right there? Is that part? Yeah, that's part of the art. There's a little bit of fabric right there. It looked almost like a scratch. So one thing you can do too, if you see a lot of these flyers on the edge of your cards, I know some people use like blue tape, but you can just take your fingers and kind of go like this right down the edges. And that just kind of smooths those out, so that way they're not sticking out when your card gets graded. Let's take a look on the back. See how we're doing on the surface scratches. We get this light up here. Some fine ones. There's one right there by the B. See it right there. Not terrible. Yeah, see, it's almost like there was something when that other Bone Claw card was printed. It's almost like there was something on the printer when it's stamped. Maybe it caught a fly or something. Maybe right there on the edge of the ball there might be a small surface scratch. Let's see if we can get that other light over here. That one's not too bad. I think I might send that one in still. It's Sabretooth and Wolverine, so those are always great battle duel cards with those two. This is probably my all-time favorite Marvel card ever. It's the first card that I ever noticed when I was a kid, so I didn't really even know Marvel. I knew Marvel cards existed, but I didn't pay any attention to them until this card. 1994 Flare Venom, hanging from the ceiling, dripping fire, holding the skull. Just an absolutely amazing piece of art. Great looking card. Looks like there might be a ding in this corner though. We might have a ding. Yeah, we got a ding in that corner. You see it right there. It's lifted a little bit. That's unfortunate. But I might send this one just to get the 9. If it will. Because I would love to have this one slabbed up, but that way if I ever had to sell it, I'd still have it in a PSA slab. Again, the only reason they're going to PSA is for the potential to sell them. Right there, print line runs all the way across there. Yeah, that's probably about it. That one corner and then that print line on the back. Maybe a couple other smaller ones there. Let's put that one in the maybe pile too. I'm not sure if I have another one of those in my grading pile. I don't think I do. We'll put that in the maybe pile. All right, next one up. Most everybody's favorite guy, Spider-Man. We're gonna send him in, get him graded up too. He is Spider-Man, so dun, dun, dun. Possibly grade him. We gotta look, see condition, see how he turns out. Let's take a look here, see if we can find anything. So here you can see a little bit of that film that I was talking about. We'll have to hit this one again with the microfiber, but that film right there, you can see how it's a little spotted. Microfiber on that. You got to work it pretty good though. It's not easy on these flare cards. But the nice thing I'm not seeing with these ones is I'm not seeing a lot of like missing coating and just nasty grooves in it. You can see here the coating's all pretty consistent. It looks bumpy, that's for sure, because it is just a coating that goes onto the cards. It's almost like they added like, what's it, resin or something. It's almost like they added resin, but that's again one of the power blasts, so that's to be expected with that film. So we'll hit this one again with the microfiber before we send this one off. Great use of the glossy character into the foiling. A little tiny hint of white. It looks more pronounced on the magnifier, but it's really not too bad. It's like there's like one of our first significant imperfections in the coating. You see it right there by his leg, right there. Little tiny bit there. I think that one's pretty good. I think we might just have to hit that one with the microfiber one more time real quick before we send it. And we should be good to go. Let's take a look here. How'd that do? A little bit. We don't want to go too much on it because we don't want to start like wearing the coating down to where it's disappearing, you know what I mean? Maybe it's a little scratch right there. Maybe a little scratch right there. We'll see. But you don't want to do that too much with the microfiber because you don't want to wear that coating down to where it's super thin in one area either. That will show up. All right, these are from the Jim Lee book. These are the Danger Room cards that came with the Jim Lee book that you could buy for the 92 X-Men set. So this is the full Danger Room card, and then there was a 3-panel that we have here as well that we'll go over. But printed on similar cardstock to what the cards in the 90s were printed on for this set. What we got there? Do we got a dimple? A little tiny dimple right there. Right there. See it? A little tiny dimple. I don't know how much that's going to impact it, but it's noticeable. You can see it. Just very cool. It's nice to see the Danger panel or the Danger Room on one full card, you know, versus having, like, if you were grading the Danger Room, you'd have 9 cards. So then you have the labels and everything are kind of splitting them up, where it almost makes more sense to put them in a frame that have them graded. But this is kind of cool because you can have the entire Danger Room graded into one card. But then you have the 3-panel is from the 10. So it's the artwork that was on the 10s that you could get. So you can see here the card ends and then it picks up again on the second card. And then that transitions over into the third card, which was the 10 art from the 10s that you could buy when the sets came out. Now one of these, it might have been the single one. Oh, there's a little tiny, maybe not, yeah, right here by my thumb, there's a little tiny dimple right there. Surface scratches. Oh, right there. See that one? See that dimple? That might keep us from sending the entire 3. Yeah, I think that might keep us from sending the entire 3-card set because it doesn't make sense to have 2 of them graded and 1 not, and then trying to find them individually isn't the easiest thing to do because people will try to sell them in a set. So I think what we're going to do is we're not even going to review these other 2 because of that dimple on that card. What we're going to do is we're going to pull these ones back and just keep those for our collection. Next up, we have X-Men Metal, Wolverine Grandiose. Let's take a look at that, see how that one looks. A little bit lengthy video here, guys. Thanks for sticking with me. If you're watching, I appreciate that. Watching us go through the cards, seeing what we got. If you're listening to us while you're driving, just be careful. I like to do that sometimes. Just throw YouTube on and listen while I'm driving. Listen to the box breaks, hear what everybody's hitting. Front looks very, very good. How does our back look? We know X-Men Metal, Spider-Man Metal, issues with the back. So we got a little bit of white there on this upper corner. Not terrible. Actually looks pretty decent considering the card. So you can see, like, it's not really whitening here. There's like little ripples in the cut, but it's not really whitening there. It's more of just glare from the light itself. This one actually looks pretty decent. I think this one might have a shot. This one might have a shot. Flakes, maybe a little white dot there. Probably a 9. My guess is, based on other cards I've seen, this will probably get a 9. But I'm okay with that. We pulled Wolverine Grandiose. If we get a 9 on the Wolverine Grandiose, cool. We can keep it in the 9. If we get a 10 on the Grandiose, then we'll move it on. Pick the Grandiose up again. Now these are really cool. These were graded before. Let me see if I can find real quick my grading labels for these, and I'll I'll show you what the grades on these were before, because we cracked these. So we already know what these have been graded before. Let's see if we think they'll get that similar grade again. All right. So we got the first up is Carnage on the 1994 Masterpieces gold foil. Where is my Carnage label? There it is. All right, this was an SGC 8.5, 1994 Masterpieces Carnage gold foil. See if we can find what the issues were. So right off the bat, it's a little bit thin, not much. Top to bottom, bottom's a little bit thinner. Left to right, it's a little bit thinner on the left side than the right side, not a lot. Let's see if we can find any other defects here that might have caused this card to get knocked down to an 8.5. But we cracked all these SGCs. We basically bought the entire set as an SGC set. And we're going to send it in and see what we can get in the PSA grades. So we'll be able to compare apples to apples with these, what the card had at SGC and what it crosses over to PSA. Front looks pretty good other than some minor centering issues. Now SGC is harder on the cards on the centering than PSA is. PSA allows you 60-40 to still receive a 10. Let's see if we can get this other light here a little more on the card. Use that to pick up any. So there's a little bit of whitening down here. I find it hard to believe that that little tiny bit would have knocked it down. Okay, we got some scuffs right there. So see the scuffs? There are actual scuffs there. See if... No, that will not come off. So that will probably knock it down. So 8.5. Yeah, we might get a 9, maybe. It just depends how much PSA emphasizes the back of the card. There's some small surface scratches on there. Not bad. I think 8.5 SGC, that's a warranted grade. I know PSA has an 8.5. They don't generally hand it out very often. So we're going to send all of these in regardless, just to kind of see what they turn out to. The only one we're not going to send in is the Scarlet Witch 7, because that one was just, it had I'll show you, I have it right here, but it's got this weird nasty imperfection in the foil itself. You can see that there? Look at that. That's nasty. So we're not even going to send that one into grade. We're just going to stick that one in the binder for our set, and we'll work on collecting these other ones. Depending what the grades are on these other ones, we may crack them back out and put them in the binder. But if we can move them and then turn around and get the cards back and have some extra money in our pockets, we'll do that. Next up, Daredevil. Daredevil received an SGC 9.5 Met Plus. Very well centered card. So right here at the bottom, we have a little bit of a flyer that came right off without really doing anything to the card. That came right off. Okay, now there's a small surface scratch that runs right here in that coating, and it's got to be just right to see it, because again, that patterned background clear makes it very, very hard to detect any of those. So it looks like there might be a little imperfection in the coating itself right there. All right, on the back, how are we looking on the back? Not too bad, some small, very minor surface scratches. Down here, there's some minor surface scratches. You see them right there. Yeah, kind of all the way across the card, there's some very minor surface scratches. Nothing serious, nothing super major on those. So it'll be interesting to see how PSA, because SGC really hasn't modified their grading scale ever. I mean, at least in recent years. I say ever, but in recent years. And these weren't graded too long ago, within the past couple years. So these cards should be on a similar grading scale to what they're currently using. So it'll be very interesting to see how these transfer over. Hulk. Now Hulk received an 8.5 from SGC. You can see it there. Hulk Gold Holofoil, SGC 8.5. On this one, the centering on the front looks pretty decent. There is a little bit of a corner issue here where it's got a little bit of a roll down on the corner. Not that it's necessarily soft, but it almost looks like it's rolled down on the corner. There might have been like a ding right there. So that'll definitely knock it down at least to a 9. And that's all we're really kind of looking for out of these, the 8.5s, hoping that we can get them up to, hopefully they'll cross over up to a 9. If not, they'll most likely end up at a PSA 8. But in all reality, resale wise, PSA 8 is going to be pretty similar to the SGC 8.5. There's not going to be much of a difference in the value there, or there shouldn't be really. I mean, you can see all these little tiny imperfections, the scuffs on the card. Like some of these look worse than other ones that we had turned away. But let's take a look here, see if we can get some of these. It's got some scuffs right here across this back. Just wondering if maybe that'll come off there. No, it doesn't look like it. So there's, you can see that scuff right there. So that was an 8.5. So it'll be interesting to see what that gets at PSA. And how much they take, or how much they ding that. Like anything that comes back less than an 8 is going to get cracked and put into the binder. So, but we picked these all up as a set. We're going to see how they fare. Next up, we have Iron Man. Iron Man received an 8.5 with SGC. So a decent amount of 8.5s. So we got the Iron Man Gold 8.5. A little bit on the centering left to right. Top to bottom looks pretty good. Great use of the foiling for the mask. Not seeing anything as far as like issues on the corner or anything like that. Pretty solid. Front looks really good. So it makes me wonder what's going on the back. We got some scuffs over here in the back corner here. Similar to what was on the Hulk. There's a ding right here on the surface of the card, right on the edge. And just small minor scratches. Honestly, I think a little tiny ding up here by the hand on the corner or on the edge of the card. Honestly, I think the Hulk was in better shape than this, so I mean this one may have been able to squeak by as a 9. So I think the Iron Man has a better shot at a 9 than what the Hulk did. Alright, next up we have Punisher. Punisher received a 9 with SGC. So, let's see how the Punisher looks here. This one, this upper right corner has a little bit going on there, similar to what the Hulk had. Not as bad though, not as bad. So maybe that's why I got a 9 versus the 8.5, but there is a little bit of a corner going on right there. The speckles really do help with kind of keeping the gloss down. There's some small, very small minor surface scratches right around this area right here. Yeah, you can see some very small minor scratches here, which that's to be expected. Anytime you have cards in a pack, it should be expected from the grading company that there's going to be minor surface scratches on a card. But how deep they are, how noticeable they are. I mean, I think if you have to move them around quite a bit to find them, then it's probably not as big of a deal as if they were already just in one spot. So yeah, I think the Punisher easily could get a 9. You know, if we're lucky enough, might squeak by and get a 10, but I don't think so. I think it'll just stay a 9. But a 9 PSA versus a 9 SGC, that's going to increase some value to it. Alright, next up we have Venom SGC 9 on the gold holofoil. And this one is centering, I think, mostly. Top to bottom, it's a little bit off center, a little thicker on the top, and And as bottom, I'll turn it this way and see if you guys can. Yeah, you can't even see it that way. Well, a little bit thicker there than it is there. Left to right, a little bit thicker on the right than it is on this side. So it might fall within the 60-40 parameters for PSA. If this one could bump up to a 10, that would be absolutely amazing. If it's like, if all they find is like the centering is slightly off, that would be absolutely amazing. So we got some stuff going on. Little flakes. There might be a little tiny dimple right there on his shoulder. But again, it's that glossy coating that's on there, and that's pretty common with that. Let's see how our edges and the corners on the back look. Especially on these dark cards, it stands out very easily and quite a bit. It's very pronounced. So here you got some little bit of whitening here on this back edge. Just depends how much they want to ding for that, especially being on the back. Overall, not bad. Beautiful looking card. We'll see what it does. Great Venom art too. Great Venom art. All right, next up we have War Machine. 3 more holofoils to go. We got War Machine. This one got the 8.5. Centering on this card was pretty good. Maybe a little bit thinner at the top than it is at the bottom. That angle doesn't really kind of indicate that, but yeah, it's a little bit thinner at the top than it is at the bottom. Trying to see if we had similar issues that we had on the Hulk set. That top right corner looks like that's fine on here. You got some surface scratches right through there. Pretty similar defects that we saw with the Hulk and Iron Man as far as warranting the 8.5. So that gives me a really good idea of what SGC is looking at as far as how they're classifying their defects. Now there are some print lines here that are very hard to tell. You run this way, up and down there. This is number 10 out of 10 on the checklist. Man, this one's better than the Iron Man, I think, condition wise. I think this one's got a really good shot at getting a 9. I think the War Machine's got a really good shot at getting a 9 if they're using consistent grading comparative to the company that they just recently purchased. So Captain America, another 8.5. So a lot of 8.5s that we got that we cracked them because we're like, well, let's see if we can get even half of these to kind of go up to a 9. So if we get half of them to go up to a 9, easily pays for what we spent on the lot. So get some small surface scratches down here by the monument. See them right there, a little bit right there. You can see them. Trying to make sure that when I'm moving the light around, I'm not blinding you guys either. Yeah, there's some very small surface scratches in the coating. But again, old cards like this. Okay, so you got some dimples here on the shield. Definitely warranting knockdown in the grade. With the whitening here, the scratch right here down the middle, the whitening over here on the edge in the corner. I can see why this one got an 8.5. Maybe it squeaks by a 9, but my guess is this one will come back an 8 from PSA. Because again, they don't use that 8.5 very often. So, all right, last one. Spider-Man. The last gold holofoil we have is Spider-Man 9.5. Spider-Man goes up to a 10. This card by itself will pay for majority of the submission. Now, I don't think it's going to get a 10, and the reason is because it's noticeably off center, left to right. I don't think it'll meet the 60-40. I think it's going to be very, very, very close to whether or not it's going to hit the 60-40. It just really depends what PSA does, because I've seen 9s from PSA 10 or PSA look like this, and I've seen 10s from PSA look like this. So it's very, very hard. I think it really just depends who you get that day and how they're reading the scale, how they set it up there. But again, it's the same things. I mean, even at 9.5, you still got some minor surface scratches right through here, and you got to get the light just right on. Like, see, like I can't even, for you guys, I can't, like right there, you can see it over here on the side. You got to get it just right to see it. I put it like this, you can't even really tell they're there. You can now because you know where it's at. But like just first glance, you can't tell it's there. Overall, the front of the card looks pretty solid. A little bit of whitening down here. And I think sometimes, just individually, we overanalyze our cards more than the grading companies do. So we don't send stuff in that could get 10s because we're worried that we're going to be wasting the money to send it in. But, you know, you got to have your own comfort level. 9.5 on the Spider-Man. If we get a 10 on that, amazing. I'm not expecting a 10. I'm expecting it to come back a 9. But if it slips through, I don't want to say slips through because that's not right. Because if it fits the criteria for them to give it a 10, I'll take the 10. Absolutely. All right, that's all for our gold foils. Now we have a little bit of Disney 100. Spider-Man. Why are you sending a bunch of Spider-Man in? I thought you didn't like Spider-Man. I don't like Spider-Man. I think he's a whiny teenager brat. However, a lot of people love Spider-Man. I think he's a great character. I love his coloring. However, he's not my thing. I don't like him. So, will I grade him? Sure, I'll grade him, because if he can make me money to then buy more domino cards or buy more boxes of cards, why shouldn't I let him do that for me? So Spider-Man, thank you. It's kind of like Wolverine. I collect Wolverine in the aspect that I don't buy Wolverine. If I pull Wolverine, I might grade him. And if he 10s, I'll probably sell him. But anything less than that, I'll probably just keep it for myself. Next, we have 1995 Marvel Metal Spider-Man. This one was actually a while ago. We got in with Luis Alonso Collectibles on one of his breaks that he ran, some Marvel Metal. We bought some packs from him. Had a great time. He's always fun to listen to and be part of breaks with. He just recently did a platinum break too. It was really fun over on Whatnot. So if you go over to Whatnot and you find Alonso Collectibles, you can rewatch like past shows and stuff like that. Definitely worth watching those even. So that one looks pretty solid. Cards always look good coming from Lewis. He takes great care of them. So we'll send the 95 metal in and see how they do. Like I said, we've had quite a few of these cards just sitting in our boxes forever. We just haven't taken the time to actually submit them. Next up, Venom, 1995 metal. Great looking card on the front, a little dusty on the bottom there. Get that. Back of the card, nice and crisp. So we want to see some nice crisp corners. Not seeing any surface. Oh, very, very, very tiny ones right there. Which I don't think those are going to make a difference. Maybe a dimple right there. Maybe a tiny dimple right there. See that there? Just kind of that way of the 80. Overall, not bad. Nice solid card. Of the grading companies that are out there, and I'll list them out, let you guys kind of tell me which grading company do you prefer and why. Let me know in the comments below. Then I'll know you watched, at least you were watching at the 53-minute mark. So I know it's a really long video, but kind of wanted to show you our cards, what we're sending in. That way when they come back, we can kind of recap, see how we did, see if we kind of agreed. Gold Blaster Venom. Another very nice card. No real issues on this one either. So PSA, BGS, CGC, SGC, and I'm even going to include tag in there. Let me know, which company do you prefer? Why do you prefer them? Not really interested in why you don't like the other companies. Why do you like the company that you use the most? So for me, it varies. PSA, obviously, if I'm planning on selling a card. Silver Surfer, Marvel Annual, backscatter sticker. I got a Wolverine backscatter in a pristine 10 coming in. I pulled on EPAC and I just took a chance and I sent it in through ComC. These are very nice. I love these. I'm not a fan of the new 22-23 square corners. I love the rounded corner for the stickers. Very nice. This one's got a really good shot, I think. Let's see. I just wanted to check again for print lines. See anything that's kind of crossing him that would indicate it's not just a pattern line. With these ones that have like this box pattern, you definitely want to look at the character for the print lines, because that's going to tell you whether or not it's a pattern line or if it's an actual print line. If it's a print line, it's going to run right through the character as well. But if it's a pattern line, it'll stop where they're at. I'm not seeing any of those print lines, so I like that card. That one, like, that's definitely going to get graded. PSA for selling. I love CGC slabs, even in the black label. I just love how clear their slabs are. I haven't graded with tag, so I can't speak to their service or any of that stuff. But just from the appearance of their slab, I might like tag's slabs more than CGC slabs. I love how the card information is laser printed onto the inside of the slab, and it's not a label. So the entire slab is completely see-through. I love the 1,000-point scale. I really dig the reports that you get. Now, it is computer grading for the most part, so there is a lot of learning it still has to do, so it's gonna make some errors. But you know what? It doesn't make any more errors than the humans that are already grading at the other companies. The more they grade, the better their system's gonna be, and the more accurate and consistent it's gonna be. Nice yellow rainbow on the platinum here for Venom. We got a little bit of dusting here on his leg, and on the black parts of his leg that stands out like crazy. See, that comes off. I don't see that come off there. There might be a little bit of white spots, but that might be from the art too, because there's little spots in the art as well. So of all the Venoms that I pulled several different colored Venoms, but this is the one that I thought was the best. Condition wise, a little tiny flattening there in that corner. Overall not too bad. Minor surface scratches that you see on them all. That one will look really cool, I think. But yeah, I really want to, probably at some point I'll get together like some sports cards or something to send in to tag that are PC cards. I've got several of those that I want to send in, and I really dig their slabs, and I think they look great on display because you can backlight them really nicely. All right, we got a 2017 Dark Magician. I just bought one pack one time, given it a shot, and I pulled the 2017 Dark Magician. I mean, it says 1996 down here, but that's just the copyright for Magic. It's not a 1996 card. These have like they're like very small rounded corners. So like Pokemon has pretty pronounced rounded corners. These have very small rounded corners. You can kind of see if you can see it there. So to me, they always look like they were soft, but they're just this very ever so small rounding. I think this one's probably a 9. It's got some surface scratches back here that I think would knock it down to a 9. I think they're significant enough that it would knock it down to a 9. Other than that, the card looked pretty solid. Alright, we got some Star Wars to wrap us up. Just some base cards here. Luke Skywalker, and the top's chrome black. Top's chrome black, Luke Skywalker. All black cards. Can you imagine what kind of defects you're going to find on an all black card? My guess, probably whitening if you're going to find them, right? That's the thing that's going to stick out the most. Again, I love the matte versus the gloss there, but for some reason the top's chrome blacks, whether it's sports, Star Wars, they always seem to be very well cut. I hardly ever notice any whitening issues on the back of them. Whoever cuts these for tops, Upper Deck, you need to reach out to them when you go to do your metal sets, because they need to be doing your metal sets, because these are absolutely amazing on the cuts on these. Next up, we got Kylo Ren on the base. Some dust there. Get that off there. A little bit of dust here on the cloak. Right on the edge. There we go. Get that off before we put it back in. You're always going to have some dust on there. And the creators, you know, if they're any good, they're going to know the difference between dust and white spots on the card. A little small print line right there about the Star Wars. Very nice. Yeah, those are kind of cool. I pulled those out of a couple boxes of Topps Chrome Black that I ripped. 2, 3, 4. We got 5 more cards. We'll wrap up. Try to knock these ones out pretty quick for you guys. Star Wars. This one is from the Star Wars White Schwartz set. See that there. We have Darth Vader. The Holo card. Very nice. And these grade very well too. You know, occasionally you're going to have them off center, but for the most part, you're not going to find a lot of surface issues with these. You're going to see more edge issues than anything, I think. They feel very much like Pokemon cards as far as like their condition, the style of the card, the thickness, the texture. It all feels very similar to the Pokemon cards. So it makes me wonder if they're actually using like a similar production company as Pokemon does. Okay, so we had the Holo card there, and now we have the Sparkle version. I don't know what the parallel is called, but now we have the Sparkle version of that same card. Vader's pretty awesome. Looks good in black. These would be, I think these last 4 Star Wars cards, I think would look absolutely fantastic in the tag slabs. But we're going to see what they do in the PSA. Who knows? If they grade very well in the PSA, maybe we'll trial tag and we'll crack a couple of these and send them off to tag and see. Because that could be a nice little experiment too. If we get a PSA 10, let's send it to tag and see how they do over a tag. All right, Topps Chrome Refractor, Ahsoka Tano on the refractor. Very nice. I should have sent this one in before the show came out. That's what I should have done. But just been holding on to her. She's cool. I like her. She's pretty badass. Little fleck down here. Might be a little dimple right down there. Yeah, a little tiny dimple. Get it on camera. A little tiny dimple right down there for you guys. Back. Nice white border on these ones. Very hard to see any whitening there. You're looking more for surface dimples, stuff like that. Significant scratches, off centering. That's pretty bad. Overall, not too shabby. 2 more to go, guys. We're gonna let you go. So what are we at here? Oh boy, over an hour. I'm sorry, guys. If you're watching this late and you got through this much of the video just to see what we're gonna be sending in, I appreciate you. All right, so we got a little dimple there in that upper right. It's Ray. It's a refractor. This is a base refractor. So we're gonna go ahead. Oh, that wasn't even a dimple. It was just a little fleck. Came right off. Nice. Even better. So Ray on the refractor. We're gonna go ahead and send this one in. Looks very good. Maybe a little tiny bit of roll on that corner. Not much you can do about that. All right, last card. Not the biggest card we're sending in, but a fun card nonetheless. Order 66 is activated Topps Chrome set, numbered out of 50. 33 out of 50. Clone Wars. We got Ahsoka Tano again. Nice green parallel right there. Numbered out of 50. We'll send this one in. See how it does. Cool looking card. Again, I just love the white borders on here. They hide any sort of those whitening edges that you have on the sides of the cards. So as long as you don't have any major dents or dings on the edges of your cards, it's going to be very hard for them to detect any white in there. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you all. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up. I know it was a long one and I apologize for that, but want to show you what we had. Let me know, what was your favorite card from this submission and how do you think we're going to do? give us the 2 thumbs up. Do that, and we'll see you guys all on the next one. Bye.